told Coach Hall, got the news yesterday that Ryan Garcia, he got caught cheating in his win over Devin Haney. He got hit for 2 steroids. Well, 1 steroid, Ostarine, and 19 norandrosterone. And the combined effect of these 2 drugs allow him to be bigger and allow him to be stronger and have more stamina. The effects of that, he beat Haney up and down the ring. Now, let me give you a disclaimer. Just because you take a drug, that doesn't mean that your skills automatically improve. There have been fighters who got caught doping, same kind of drugs, and got beat. Some of them got knocked out. So there's no guarantee just because you take a drug that you're going to win a fight. But if you recall, Garcia, his behavior was erratic leading up to this fight. And some of the statements that he's made since the fight has ended has been questionable. But what has been questionable for me is Oscar De La Hoya. De La Hoya, after the fight, said that there's not going to be a rematch because Garcia has other people he wants to fight. But that was a mighty quick statement, especially from a former champion like De La Hoya. You know that if you're a champion and somebody beats you, not only should the champion get a rematch, you should want to step back into the ring to prove that it was not a fluke. And he's come right out and says that it's not going to be a rematch. And that's something I just couldn't understand. The other thing that was not understandable is why would you make a bet with your opponent that you're going to make weight? As a professional, that should be automatic that you're going to step in the ring at your contracted weight and be prepared to perform. Well, evidently, it was questions all along whether or not he was going to make his weight. And sure enough, he was 3 pounds over, and the bet he had was $500,000 per pound. But to his credit, despite all his antics, he did pay up $1.5 million. So that's the second strike. But the fact that you won this fight and you're bragging about it, and then the information comes out about these 2 drugs that you took to beef you up, you still don't want to own up to the fact that you cheated. Now, like I said before, just because you cheated, a lot of fighters have taken drugs and still got beat, so it doesn't matter. So he has the skills to compete with Haney, but why do you feel like he had to beef up to the point that he's just gonna not even worry about trying to win the championship? He's just trying to prove a point. So there's a lot of things here that just don't smell right. And Garcia owes the boxing fans an apology. He owes Haney an apology, and probably owes the fans some of their money back. Still, what's not going to happen is we're going to get a rematch with Haney and Garcia. But still, he has 10 days to get his urine retested. But I don't think it's going to make a difference. It's kind of clear here that the guy's got caught red-handed. So what's next? This is the problem with boxing. You never get the best fighters most of the time, and when they do, either at the end of their careers or you get some kind of doping scandal like what you have now. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I think at the very least it should be a rematch. Garcia, if you feel strongly about how you whipped him up and down the ring, step back in the ring at the right weight, and let's make sure you're clean, and let's see what kind of results we get then. The other thing I want to talk about, I don't have but a few minutes. I did a track video the other day where I was doing talking over some 800 race, and I was recalling the situation I was in years ago in a certain race at districts. And I made the comment that after the race, regional meet, I couldn't run in the regional meet because the practice before the region, that Tuesday, it's one of those days that just couldn't get loose. And we was running the 4x1 for time, getting the timing down, getting the handoffs, whatever you do to fine tune your race for the regional meet. I told Coach I couldn't get loose, and he said, run it again. Damn, Coach, I just said I couldn't get loose, man. So sure enough, I get out there and I run, pow, running first leg. I get to about 3 steps to hand the baton off and pow, hamstring, went. So I say, Coach, why should I go to the regional meet if I cannot run? He said, well, by association rule, you have to at least check in. Well, he was right, but it was a little bit worse than that. Not only do you have to check in at the regional meet or any other state-sponsored event, you have to line up on the starting line. So I'm all wrapped up with about that much bandage on my leg, trying to get warmed up and trying to perform a miracle and run. I know I couldn't run, so I get out there and I line up on the line, and because I had to, and watch those guys run away with the opportunity that I would never get again. That was my senior year. So it was heartbreaking to watch their career end that way. And just like Charles Barkley said yesterday on the pivot, athletes' careers tend to end miserably. That was a miserable way to end a high school career. But the point I'm trying to make, I'm not reminiscing on that. I mean, I departmentalized that a long time ago. Just if you think about it, you realize how difficult it was. But the point I'm making is the guy said that the associations don't do that. The hell they don't. And I tell you something else about the Florida Association. If you got a kid that's playing soccer and he gets a red card, not only is the school going to get fined, but the parent is going to get fined. And if you don't pay it, you just may have a problem getting your high school diploma once you graduate. I've known that happen to people before. So for the guy to come out and say that this doesn't happen, no, that's not the way it works. Not only do I have seen it, it happened to me. I had to get on that line and I had to watch that gun go off, and there's nothing I can do about it. Either that or pay a $50 fine for every time I didn't show up. Now, if you think about in a different vein, my same school takes us 3 hours to get to Tallahassee and another 3 to get to Pensacola. They went to regionals in Pensacola. They had 2 guys that qualified in the field events. And they didn't have a prayer to get to state. They were so far off, it didn't even make sense to go out there. But the state said, well, you can't do that. So they took a bus. They spent all that gas to drive 6 hours. They stayed at the event for 30 minutes, however long it was, to not qualify, then get back on the bus to come home. Don't you think it would have been cheaper to just say, look, we'll just pay the fine, and you just take this fine money and we just won't show up? Well, the state said, no, you can't do that. So they had to go take that trip. So even though you might think everything is just like the city leagues, nowhere close. They got all kind of rules and different things you have to abide by, and they got the lawyers to back them up. So I just want to make that clear that I don't just be saying stuff to say things. It happened to me. So I'm not going to tell you something wrong that happened to myself. And if you don't believe it, look it up. Mike Long Track, 1989. Look at the rules they had then. Look at the rules they have now, and you can go back to any point in between. If an athlete does not show up, whether he's injured or not, to that starting line, if you qualify from the district meet or region, the state, whatever, you're going to have to pay a fine. That's in the association bylaws. Look it up. So just to recap, just want to talk about Ryan Garcia, get caught cheating. 2 steroids, Ostarine, norandrosterone, number 19, and these bulk you up, give you stamina, and pretty much turn you into Superman. And that night against Haney, he was Superman. But I think he needs to come back to earth and give Haney another shot, even if it doesn't include a possibility to win the championship. But when a man fights, when he's overweight and he turns down the opportunity to be a champion, it makes you think, you knew something was up all along. Now the whole world knows it. And we want some justice. Got to go to work. This is Sports for Real.